Tractor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. It's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Thanks for getting your pot on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. You can follow us on YouTube. Watch us live at Billified. On Facebook at Bill Moran. Billified_pod on Instagram. Bill Moran Radio Instagram. Twitter.
Fox News.
CNN. Now, what's some of the other ones that they have now?
Pornhub.
No. Pornhub said no. I wasn't big enough. Hey! What are some of the, there's some News Nation now or something?
I have no idea.
Yeah, America's Frontier.
I have Facebook, and that's about it.
That's about all.
Enough trouble with that.
And wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to us, like and download on Apple and on Spotify and on Spreaker and all those as well. Dougie Fresh in the house
and special guest,
his dad.
Oh, God, the birthday boy, Thursday.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's your birthday on Thursday.
It is.
Okay, so, geez.
What's the matter?
That's my kid's birthday.
Is it? Yeah. Good thing I brought my father to help you remember.
Totally spaced.
Just send him a card? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see him.
I got a feeling he's going to get a wooden fish and some wine.
Doug's
That's
dad brought in
okay.
a wooden
Like
fish and wine. He'll be 22. Yeah, wow.
I
can't
can't
totally
remember when I was
spaced that.
22.
How old are you going to be? 55?
79.
79?
Yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay, so you're older than my dad by a little bit. I would have put you younger, and I don't know why.
Because I look young.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't be nice.
No, it may be. It may be that.
It's the beard. You haven't seen me with the Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's very age defying. It's age defying.
I did it starting at hunting season. I said, I'm sick of shaving right now. I just want to see. I used to have a beard.
Uh-huh.
And
what does the wife think of the beard?
She likes it.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
No, she likes it.
All right.
And but I don't know if I do yet.
Okay. Oh, really?
I'm looking in my mirror and I'm saying, well, I don't look like anybody I used to.
Well, none
Does
of us
it make
ever.
me look older? I mean, I know I'm going to be 79. Do
Yeah.
I want to look older? Or, I don't know. But it looks all right, I guess.
Yeah, it does. You got a youthful.
The word distinguished come in there
Yes,
somewhere?
it does.
Thank you.
Professorial. Yeah. You know what you need to do is put on a smoking jacket and walk around one of the college campuses in
With a
area
pipe.
and just see if you get asked questions.
He did that with a
bowl.
raincoat before.
I got a couple of applauses on that.
Did you? A couple of applause.
Yeah.
Take me back. You worked at Kodak, right?
I did.
Yeah.
From 1965 until 88.
So really the heyday of Kodak.
Yes.
That was when they were
In big time.
big time stuff.
And I watched it go downhill.
You did watch it go downhill. And by that,
terrible.
because I always think the greater Rochester area has really benefited because of Kodak. Kodak brought brilliant minds here. This is a community where many families stay, and then the next generation stays as well. They don't move away, or they do and they come back. And some of these people who had PhDs and things, like I had a neighbor who had a PhD in flow, and he did all the ink stuff for. He would do experiments in his
Flow, I've never heard.
I think it was flow, which sounds ridiculous, and maybe I'm wrong. He wound up working for a plastics company out in Indiana, and then running their production in Spain after he left Kodak, because it was, he was really in the last kind of heydays of Kodak. But all those brilliant minds, I go, there's so many things that are manufactured and built here, such small companies, illumination companies, and different things that I don't know that get a lot of attention. But I always think, is that because the brilliant minds had kids and they stayed and started companies here, and we have a lot of little things like that? I don't know if that's true. It's just a theory I have. Doesn't mean it's right.
Well, what always amazed me is that the higher echelon of Kodak let so much stuff go.
Yeah.
Like the Beta.
Yep.
They let that go to China. They let the instant camera go to China. They let, that went to Polaroid. But their Kodak camera kept just getting higher and higher and higher, and then Canon come along and developed something, and they just didn't keep up with that technology. But they founded the technology.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, we don't
Well,
need that.
there were
because-
things like the VCR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the digital camera, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, really brilliant things that they didn't patent or they sold the patent to, I guess. Right?
You know, it was above my pay grade.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, those are the.
Although we knew where it was going,
Yeah.
the people on the bottom said, this is going to screw us.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't listen.
When it was, like back in the heyday, was it a great company to work for? Did you feel like you were well supported, decent bosses, nice benefits?
I worked in film and paper processing. We
Okay.
processed all the film that you sent in,
Were you in the dark room then?
on and off, yes.
On and off. I
Then
heard
got in the
shenanigans
dark-
would go on in the dark room.
Oh, no. Just a couple of times. I haven't talked to her in a long time. Anyway, we processed all of your film that you sent in
Yeah.
from the East Coast to the Mississippi River.
Okay. So it
North
all came
and
to
south.
Rochester.
It all came to Rochester. We were putting out about, in 72, 73, about 4.5 million prints a week.
Okay. Now here's a question, because I have to go here. I think that at least back a few years ago when my guys were, I'm some that are 23 and 22 now, or be 22, it was a big thing about, taking nude photos, or if you get a photo of a girl, get it off your phone immediately. And people were like, I can't imagine back in the day. And I'm going, are you kidding me? Teenagers have been teenagers, and young people have been young people. If you had the technology and you didn't have to have it developed, but I'm going to ask you, since all that film was developed, did they find naked photos of people that
Every roll they printed, at the beginning of the roll, they named it why it was called Sevens. Everybody wondered.
Yeah.
They were taken away. You had to process because you didn't know what was on the film.
Right.
Once it was processed and you seen that, then they took that and they sent it to State Street. You could come and get it, but it can't go back through the mail.
Ah. Was it a federal violation?
I think
porn
so.
or something. Yeah.
But I have seen.
Well, the mail would be yes, Doug.
I have seen everything that you can imagine. And then some. Honest to God, you can't tell me anything.
Right. I'll agree with that one.
All right, hang on a second now. Since you said it, I got to. It's almost like a challenge. I can say nothing. You've seen it all.
Yeah.
Did people take pictures of like bestiality and things?
Yes.
Oh. I just had to know.
With a horse, with a dog, with a cow.
I'm thinking with a dog, but
Yes.
why? I don't understand why you would then send it out. That's when the
That's
Polaroid
a lot of trust
came.
back then.
Yes, it's a
Yes.
tremendous amount
Yes.
of trust.
We also did model pictures where professional photographers would send stuff in.
Yeah.
Too, they were gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I've seen it all. I've been all over the world. I've seen numerous movie stars, politicians. I did a Christmas card program. I did Harry Winkler's mother and father and him
You
on
did?
it. I did General Patton's son, and a couple other. Oh,
So you designed these, or you took the photos?
They'd send their card in. The
Yeah.
picture
He developed
in,
them.
and
Yeah.
they wanted Christmas cards.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we printed the Christmas cards.
Yeah. How cool was that?
Julius Boros.
Julius Boros. I
the
don't know.
Golfer.
No. Oh no, I don't.
Great golfer.
Yeah.
He had the most gorgeous family.
Yeah.
The picture of them. I looked at it and I says, "Holy mackerel, this is unbelievable." But it was something to be able to say that I did these.
Sure.
things. And there was a connect there.
Yeah.
Not that they knew me, but
No, but that's cool. You get to
yeah.
see these things
Yeah.
before other people would get them, and
yeah. I saw Jerry Lee Lewis in
His cousin.
candid
great balls of fire.
Great
candid
balls.
shots. He's sitting on a couch. There's at least 20 naked women around him, and he's got
Really?
a smile you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd have a smile.
Yes.
Even for
Now,
two.
did that one get sent back, or did he have to come to State Street and pick it up?
I don't know, being the name that it was.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you miss any of that stuff when you were?
Best job I ever had.
Yeah.
I missed the job.
Yeah, I can think.
I really love my job because when we went there, we were a family and we had fun and we got all of our work done. Our work wasn't put in a warehouse
Gotcha.
and so that
Yeah.
they could build it up. We had to get your prints developed, printed, and sent back to you in 24 hours. If we had a flight coming in and we got it was late and we were going off to lunch, they said, get your ass in the dark room. We got work to do. And we did it.
Yeah.
Go to another building, and it was totally different.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Matter of fact, the foreman
Not a
came up
uniform.
he says,
you're
how do I
thinking
get
uniform.
these people to work? I says, you're the boss. Tell them.
Right.
You know.
I have to think, too, what a great time. I mean, Doug, you and I had it a little bit, but it's later on, like, you know, this will sound a little weird, but, you know, white guy got a job, could disappear, no one find you. You know what I mean? There was no phone, no cell phone.
No phone, no cell phone, no.
You were gone for a little while. No one was looking at you sideways like, what's he up to? Because,
Right.
you know, I go, wow, what a time. What a
Yeah.
time.
The kids today will never know that.
No, because now
You're
everything's
finding
out.
everybody.
Yeah. So you're 79 on Thursday,
25th.
the 25th. So in that time, in your lifetime, let's say, because you're coming up on almost 8 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the biggest change that you saw in life?
The communications.
The way we
technology.
communicate.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's,
Too
I
much?
think it's fantastic.
Yep.
And it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very interesting. It's almost like it goes back to
You
this.
can't do without it now.
No.
You can't breathe without it. I don't know what we do if the phone was hanging on a wall with a 20-foot cord.
Yeah.
You'd hang yourself.
You would, right.
I remember the dial, the rotor.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. I had a
Even before
party
that,
line
my
as a kid.
grandmother had the one that was on a post with a little hanging on the
Oh,
side.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's going way back.
That's way back.
It is. I mean, but it is technology, and you're right. It's a blessing and a curse because it's almost as though we get too much information.
Oh, yeah.
Like as though we're not meant to get all this information, whether it be personal or news or opinion or any of that. Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. What's the most disturbing thing? You have grandkids?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the most disturbing thing you think that's changed in the world? Again, the communication,
Well,
maybe?
after I left Kodak, I went right down to Greece Central School Bus District and
Okay.
became a school bus driver for 27 years.
Okay.
The change of attitude with the students is disturbing to me.
Yeah.
Middle school is just
Vicious.
horrible.
Yeah.
You know, but it's what they're dealing with. You know, it's that age group. They're changing,
Right.
and they've got a lot of people pulling on them. Their cohorts, everybody.
Yeah. Social media is a
but
tough thing in that age, too.
What I didn't like is the respect that they don't show to one another, let alone themselves.
Right.
And that's all you got to do is look at the news.
It's an interesting thing that you say that, the respect to one another and themselves. There is that. You know, it's funny when you go back and you look at pictures of a ball game in the 40s and people are all dressed up. and
Suit and tie.
Right, and you see now, and I think sometimes it is respect for yourself. I mean, my grandfather, born in 1918, he wouldn't go to the mailbox without putting on a suit, practically, you know, to get the mail. It was just the way you were, and it was almost respect for yourself. Anybody who, I think the term used to be your Sunday best, you felt better about yourself, right?
Give you an example.
Yeah.
We go to church, and I never had to wear a tie, shirt and tie.
Yeah.
My brother worked at a bank, and that was another thing. But when I went to church, I had to wear. I didn't feel dressed. I didn't
Right.
feel respectful.
Right.
So I said to Kathy, I said, I'm going to wear a tie. I said, I just can't go in with jeans and stuff. I just don't feel right.
You ever see your son at work on Friday night?
Yeah.
When he goes, he's all.
yeah.
Doug is always no. I'm not mocking that.
Right, no.
I'm serious.
No.
Doug, like he dresses up.
He does, and
Yeah.
people comment on him.
Yeah,
I dig that.
but it's a respect for you and the job and the.
yeah, it gives it a little classier place.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I kind of. I
And anybody
I see
over
that.
70 usually says something because way back in the day when they were drinking,
Sure.
that's how the bartenders dressed.
Yeah, I'll tell you if I had the means and I wasn't kind of lazy, I would go back to that like Cary Grant style, dressed every day. I would love it.
Well, I remember.
But again, I'm a 52-year-old guy, so
Put
I'm a
on a
little
suit
older.
and tie.
You know what I mean?
Let's
You know what I'm
paint
saying?
the town red, Dorothy.
we used
But
to,
you know what I mean? I really would.
Yeah.
when we first flew, We got a bunch of people at Kodak, and we went to Vegas.
Yeah.
Husbands, wives, the whole year.
Yeah.
We all wore suit jacket or
Yeah. So
and a tie. Because it was special.
yes.
Now, oh my God, you're in
they're in
pajamas.
pajamas. So my youngest son lives with his mom, and his mom lives out of state, and he'll fly here. And he was getting ready to leave, and I said, "No, you got to put on pants." He's like, "Come on, Dad." Everybody, I said, I have some respect for yourself. Was exactly the term. It's funny that you say that.
He was wearing shorts?
No, he was going to wear like pajama bottoms.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, he goes, "Come on, Dad. Everybody's," and he's not wrong.
No.
But I said, have some respect for yourself, right? Elevate yourself a little bit. And he kind of has a little bit of that in him. It must be a genetic thing because he kind of like, all right. And he's very into style, more modern than it would be. But that's interesting because when I was a kid, my uncle was a pilot. He had come out of Nam, and he was a pilot for Delta and then, Western Airlines, and then eventually Delta bought them. And we, my dad's brother, would get a buddy pass, right? So you would fly for free. So it took us like 7 planes to get to Ixtapas, Mexico. But we were told as kids, you have to dress nicely. My sister was in a dress, and I think I was in a collared shirt and all this because you were a guest of the airline.
Yeah.
And and you don't see that. And I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of old guys, and somebody go, "Oh, there's a bunch of old white guys talking." There is something about having a little bit of pride. Taking a little bit of pride in your space, taking a little bit of pride in your street. When they have these clean up the city things, it's almost like everybody starts to behave better. I noticed when my kids were little, if the house was a mess, things were chaotic, the kids were chaotic. When things were a little more organized, everybody felt better. You just feel better. And it's a respect for yourself. And I think there's a real psychological tie to that.
When I'd had many jobs. I had many jobs at one time, but one of the jobs that I had was working for Finger Lakes Casino, Racino, excuse me.
Yeah.
So I was a walker. You carry $1,000 on you. You fill the machines with paper and whatever.
Nice.
Now the guys and the girls that walked around, the attitude when I got there was like, "Holy shit! What is wrong with you people?" Well, they were having problems with the union and this and the other, and I couldn't take it after a while. I says, I can't work in this kind of, I says to them, I got pissed off. I said, listen, I says, we're in here. It's a reflection of this company to show the people respect. They're spending money.
Yeah.
Well, they don't give me any tips. I says, doesn't matter. I says, how much do you make in tips? He says, if I make $20 a week, that's good. Really? I worked there 4 months. I made $700. Stick it in your butt.
Yeah, right.
It's
an attitude.
Of course, it could be me. Attitudes changed, and I was the old guy.
Well,
coming in.
You are correct,
and they were great people to work for.
But I think that what doesn't change is what people are attracted to, and what people are attracted to is somebody who's fun.
Yeah.
Your son is fun.
Yeah.
People like having but you are. You're fun. He's fun. He's funny,
to be around.
And he's good to be around. He's a good time.
I've learned more about him.
I was just gonna ask.
I have learned since he's been
week.
on this podcast with Mr. Moran.
Yeah, my dad has learned a lot about me as well. So don't worry about it.
We sit in the living room, and Kathy will look at me and says,
"Did you know?
How come he didn't tell us that?"
Did you know your son had a threesome in the bar? Yeah, I always bring that up with my parents. They're so, like, every aspect of my life, I should be like, "Hey, Dad, guess what? I might go home with this girl. All right, call you tomorrow. Love you too. Bye." That's
what makes you think that we don't want to hear it?
God, yeah, right.
I mean, we're sick of watching TV.
Right.
Jesus.
All right, here's one for you.
That's why those Hallmark movies are not realistic.
No, they're a pain in the ass.
I would like to get your opinion on this. I heard a story, and it's one that is a very modern day, but it rolls a little reversed, right? We live in a time where there's a lot of power. If you can accuse somebody of something, it's a lot of power, and people can disappear and all kinds of things. So I had heard from a friend of mine whose son is in his mid to late 20s. They had their work party, their holiday party, after the holidays, like many companies do. And the boss is a female, and she's about 55. And there was some small talk going on, and she had a couple of glasses of wine, this 55-year-old woman, and she's chatting away. And I think it was just work people. Like, it was almost like a happy hour, extended happy hour thing. And they're talking about skiing and some different things. And she leans over to the kid and says to him, if this was 20 years ago, you and I would be banging. That's what she says. So he's like, oh, okay. And then kind of the conversation goes away. Goes home and tells his girlfriend. Girlfriend says, you have to report her. You have to report her. You have to say something.
Human resources.
Yep. You have to say something.
Have to.
She says that. He says, I don't want to. And I am of the mind of, if you're going to do anything, you got to almost, and I guess the term isn't very popular anymore, but man up if it bothers you, because I'm like, damn, I'm flattered.
Yeah.
I'm flattered. I had a gay guy years ago. I was in my 40s and working at a radio station. And he said to me, you're my older man fantasy. And everybody like froze when he says this. He had a couple of cocktails at a work function. And I went, well, I am absolutely flattered.
Yeah.
Right? Because that would be, first of all, I didn't think of myself as an older man at 43 years old, but I was.
Right.
And I would find that flattering. And so that was kind of even his father's opinion on this. Was like, you just got to let it go, or go in and say, hey, listen, it made me a little bit uncomfortable, and I just need to say something to you just so you're aware and I'm aware. That's it. And call a spade a spade. That's about as far as I think it should go, because otherwise it does, but in today's day, he has a lot of power, and companies fear social media recall and all that stuff. And the only, so I was asked, like, what would you say? And I said, if this were my kid, I would say, don't do anything, because I'm sure it won't happen again. I'm sure this woman, who has probably gone through every bit of training and every other thing, is embarrassed herself.
Yep.
She may even come to the kid, and I don't know, at some point and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry for my inappropriate behavior. That would actually be a pretty solid boss. But at the other end, I said, the people who start doing this kind of stuff, dig on those people a little bit, and you'll find they have a pattern of that. And what happens is they wind up hurting themselves in the long run. There are companies in this town that are shadows of themselves, because they have people that are like that work there, and they are all afraid, and they're afraid to communicate with those people, and they're afraid to put anything in writing to them. And there's a lot of dancing, and those companies are, I mean, they're losing. They're losing because we're letting those people have the power. You don't want to be one of those people. You just don't. I'm not saying that this kind of stuff shouldn't go unchecked. If you feel like it should be checked, then check it. But check it in the right way.
When you're talking about a party.
Yeah. I mean, I would think at work parties back in the day, come on.
Worst things to go to. Because somebody gets a drink in them and they're going to tell you what they think of you. I've seen it happen.
Really? Like what?
Oh,
give me a Kodak story from back in the day.
Like an idiot.
Try Thanksgiving this year.
That's how they start out.
What did you say, Dad?
Nothing.
You know, so it's, but this is, I feel the difference. That, you know, you can go back to the boss and say, listen, I'm really uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Do you realize what you said? If apology occurs, that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Well, because people,
if you're working
yeah,
and the boss comes over and makes an advance,
yes,
whole different story.
Oh, I agree.
And that happened a lot.
Oh, I'm sure it did. With an attractive woman at work, mostly it was guys in power, and I've seen it. I've seen it happen in other, sure. And then what happens is, this is where you have the problem at work, in my opinion. All of a sudden now someone feels like that person's getting preferential treatment because they're banging the boss behind the back. They're getting whatever, if it's an account or a day off or whatever it is.
You earned it.
Yeah.
Who's banging who here? Come on, I'm taking one for the team.
I understand.
You got the extra 15-minute smoke break.
But I mean, that's where you had the problems, and that's why I think these companies now, some of them have no dating policies. Was there any of that at Kodak back in the day?
Wasn't dating, but you couldn't have a husband and wife in the same division.
Yeah.
Same.
No, that I can understand. It gave the husbands a break.
But
yeah,
they
I
did
see this bitch at home. Now I got to work with her.
Eventually, they cleared the way for that to happen.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no problem.
Right.
There was no problem.
Well,
Everybody
now they
did
have
their work.
maternity leave for guys.
Yeah, they call it family leave, so you
Family
can be
leave.
home with
Yeah.
the child. I don't know. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't know if I would have done it. My wife went back to work after the first kid pretty quickly. And so I was home with him in the mornings because I was doing afternoons, and then I would drop him off at daycare. It was a cool time. That was I locked myself out. He was in a high chair once, and we had the high security system on the sliding glass door of a stick. So I went out on the deck. I built this big deck off a townhouse. I'm on a phone, and all of a sudden I go back in, and the stick has fallen, and the door wasn't exactly closed, so now I can't open it enough to get in. The garage door is shut, and the front door is locked, and the kid's sitting there eating Cheerios. And I was thinking, God damn. I had to call. So now I don't know anybody in this townhouse complex. It was out Victoria Woods and Victor. So I go around, I find this young couple. I'm like disheveled. I'm in shorts, a shirt. It's got stains.
You didn't dress
on
up?
it. No, I'm
You're
not.
like, look at this bum. He doesn't even wear a tie.
I'm like, hey, can I use your phone? So I call 911 and I say to them, listen, I just need one person to come and help get me back in. I don't know if there's a way to jimmy a lock, if you've got some tools or something. I said, but please, not a big production. Oh, they all came.
Oh, yeah.
It was everybody. Yeah. And then they're about to start busting doors. I go, hang on a second. So some guys lifted up the garage door enough because it was the opener, so you can only open. And I crawled underneath and I got in. But they were ready to start busting doors.
Were they all clapping congratulations when you opened that front door?
I was like so embarrassed. And Jackson just sat there eating the whole time. Never even. I'm like, man, if
Didn't faze him a bit.
Nah, but if his mother ever knew.
Oh yeah.
This is why I don't know if I could have stayed home.
Right. Did your ex-wife say, I learned more about you on your podcast than I ever did when I married you?
Probably.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
All right, we'll take a moment here. Doug is a fan of the. He's going to have a Purdy party. He's a fan of the 49ers.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Oh, please.
The line's gone up, though. Went from 7.5 to 9.5.
I got some questions.
Okay.
And there's some people out there that are saying that the fix is in. The fix is in. Okay. I understand, and I'm even going to play you some Buffalo Bills stuff. We'll get into all that. We'll do that next.
All right.
But first,